Testing. Okay. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Starting. Okay. There is something here and it's playing sound.
We have a soundtrack we can throw on YouTube right now.
Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. All right, now we're there. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you check the YouTube stream now? Yeah. Is the stream live?
We'll go back on Wi-Fi then. So if we could throw up the soundtrack.
I can't. It's not enough time. It has to be piped in a certain way in the system.
Perfect. All right, cool. We're live.
All right, let's do the hurry. Just remember we're behind time.
Right on top.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. So that's
Okay.
for sure.
Come here, my love. Inhale, exhale. I want to say thank you so much for this beautiful day. Thank you so much for being here together and present. Thank you so much for the opportunity to announce this beautiful project to the world. I trust that everybody will receive this message with their heart. They will understand and they will want to be part of this. I want to say also thank you so much, Halo, for creating such a wonderful piece for everybody, for all of us, to allow their minds to understand deeply what are our intentions. Brother, our powers, thank you for being here. You always bring your power to our family. Aura, thank you for being so amazing. We love you so much. You are a being of light. My love, be strong and powerful as always. You have a mission. Remember to always go to your heart. Remember that you're not alone. We have all of our guides, ancestors, divine creators with us. This is a project for all of us. Unified, wholeness. I love you all.
That was strong. That was good.
Thank you, family.
Wholeness.
I love you, mi amor. I'm so glad you didn't know. Okay, right. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, Bubba. Thank you, Bubba. Thank you, brother.
All the families.
Woo! Let's go. All right. Testing, testing is that one right there, but I'm gonna hit that, but I just need you to tell me, hey, it's too low or we're getting way too much background noise. Okay.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. This is a secret, and it's a very powerful secret.
Where does light come from, Daddy?
As we now go forward in consciousness on our planet, which I feel is going from the third dimension to the fifth dimension,
The real truth.
Free energy technology will spark a spiritual revolution and heal our planet.
Everybody that's on Earth?
It's definitely have changed my life.
Once you understand how the world really works.
And even my mother is now starting to become more open, and we've given her some of the supplements, and it's been really good. So it's just been an amazing journey, and I'm glad to be a part of
activating
everything.
the DNA and to have great enjoyment doing it.
The deepest secrets within man, DNA repairment, full body activation.
Teaching us about unlocking our unlimited potential, our life's purpose.
Just know that we're actually here, we're real people.
What's your name? Tell her your name.
My name is and I'm 4 years old.
It's all right, family. Don't be shy. Jump in and say hi.
Yeah.
Connection that we shared over the years, and you know, to see the family coming in full circle is just powerful. Like,
How do you turn on the DNA? That's a good question. Very good question.
you know, everything out here works on energy. They didn't manage to sell everybody power. All of the lights, everything that we're operating and using, it's all running on gas and power. For me to step on this pedal, I gotta go to them, and that is more powerful than anything. That is the power. It's literal.
Oh, that's very nice. I really like it.
Wholeness.
It's so
special.
My dreams just be like it's gonna be the future.
So there's a lot of power here, and the opportunity to serve such a space and to really integrate.
Wholeness Tribe.
Wholeness and balance, beautiful tribe.
Wholeness, wholeness, love, peace and love.
What's up, fam?
A whole family.
Wholeness.
The monatomics and the ancestors.
Wholeness and balance vibration tribe.
Be the change that you're inspired to see.
Wholeness, family. Wholeness has empowered me to take control over my decisions, over my sovereignty, over my balance.
Wholeness.
Wholeness Tribe.
Wholeness secret is within us.
My name is Sevan. I'm the developer. I'm here to welcome you to a platform that's been going for 9 years.
And join us as we unlock our potential together.
I love y'all.
Wholeness family. Still kind of blown away by that experience. It was awesome.
I am allowing all that is and the energy of the multiverse to move through me.
I was like going through some very turbulent times.
There's so much more deep meaning to all of this, and
It's definitely established the connection.
All of you have been helping us so much.
It was beautiful connecting with you all yesterday.
This tribe.
We can create a world, I believe, today.
All walks of life.
Accessing and embodying the metaphysical knowledge to truly be the masters of our reality.
into the highest states of consciousness.
Energetically, physically, mentally, and spiritually to help you break through all realities. It's the peak of self-mastery. It's also the epitome of what unity really is.
You don't hear about any of this information at school.
This time technology is actually helping us.
I was able to connect with a real tribe in real time.
You know what? At the end of the day, it all starts with you.
Technology just brought us closer.
Where does the sun come from?
A wonderful way to activate your DNA is to walk barefoot on the earth.
Thank you, man. Right.
It will help you integrate the cosmos and the earth. Barefoot on earth is a wonderful way to activate the DNA.
I always wondered what my future would be like.
The whole world is on the eve of a new consciousness, a new power.
But most important is the quality of life that you live and the quality of the love that you share. The quality of that love is why you come here to Earth.
We'll see you on the other side.
Secretenergy has literally shown me the way back to myself.
Many of you have missions,
Wholeness, sending you so much love.
purposes,
Wholeness.
but you all come for love.
And so a new civilization is being born.
What the churches, the religions, may have hidden away. This is the advancement of your DNA.
What an amazing time. What an amazing space. What an amazing tribe. I wanted to take the time today, just really take the time. You know, there's things that we're going to be bringing, things that we're going to be doing, but what's most important is where we are now and how we're connecting and how we're creating, and of course how we're forgiving each other, forgiving ourselves, and stepping into this massive, massive joy of bringing this planet into an entirely different level with love, honor, and compassion. And I'm just so honored to be here and to see the growth of every single being, known and unknown. You know, there's many that are just, they travel through the networks, they get their message, they keep moving, but we feel you and we're connected to you, and we're going to strengthen that connection. Today, we're actually going to bring something that we plan to bring next year. In fact, everybody's been really doing just every single thing in their power to dial something in that is connected in every single aspect of life, just full spectrum. And when you do something like that, of course, you could never have enough time. You always want to enhance it. Everybody here is doing their best. However, we did have to decide on a date of release, which again was set next year. But I felt that instead of setting times, we should go with the feeling, of course. We should tap deeper into the heart and see what it says. And the heart was like, no, you got to do it before this year ends. And I was like, are you serious? So get tribe on the phone, get tribe on the heart, get tribe on the mind. Let's see what we can do, and let's make it happen. And true enough, I would say for sure for the last solid, well, it's been a decade, but this year for sure, 18 hours of sleep maybe a day is normal. Or I wish it was, right? 18 hours of awakening a day is normal. And it was all to bring us to a point of perfecting ourselves, because what we are simultaneously becomes what we create. So I went back in, as I've always annotated along on the journey, to do some deep dredging, I call it. You know, going all the way down. Our brothers and sisters were there, singing the sacred songs, sending the intentions and making the efforts to take this planet, to take humanity into a greater stage. And we feel like that what we're presenting now is a great ramp-up process for that. It's a great process to reach into all parts and all aspects of life with something that they can cling to, and then we can pull them out from there and start to make them aware of their uniqueness. And also, many of us who've been on the journey, bringing us closer together and bringing our uniqueness into its full might and what it's capable of doing for this planet, which we already know. We were just only a few days ago displaying how strong, how powerful, and how acclimated and aware we are about what is going on in this world, and we are prepared to do what we need to do. But we need something to do that through. We need something to unify us further and to get us into that beyond, and let this electromagnetics continuously bring us together. So with that being said, just know we had this for next year, but we did everything that we could to bring it here to you right now, and we feel that it's more than enough. And you've already seen these expressions, and I'm sure you're already just still dialed into that beautiful presentation our brother Halo put together, that video presentation that we just saw, which displays to the world what we experience every day, whether it's ambassador training, whether it's a secret energy chat, wherever we are. That's what we're experiencing, and that's what we're doing. But now we're opening up, and we want to share it more. I want us to take a moment and just think about I want us to think about what it is that we want so much in life. What is it that we truly enjoy? And I want us to start seeing that these days there's a lot of manufactured happiness, which is not even happiness. There's a lot of an idea of what it takes to restore ourselves and what it takes to connect with who we are, but truly that cannot be done unless we're actually doing it, physically doing it, in every single expression, in every single way that we interact in our lives, that we make that our energy and we make that our current. And when we start thinking about current, when we start thinking about power, we realize, especially many of us that have walked the path and the journey of the energetics that have been pushing through this planetary system, we find that it's not even trying to find it. It's trying to hold it. And thus, because of the holding of energy rather than the dispersing of energy and the continuous fluidal movement of energy going through all of us, we're experiencing some traumas. So we know because the problem cannot exist without the solution, then we're ready to reverse what could be holding us back, which is division. And we're ready to push into a higher level of a unified cause. Why? Because when you have an immense level of power, but not enough beings to distribute it through, you get a meltdown. So now we want to equip every single person on this planet with what they are going to need to connect to a massive energy source that is going to bring this planet into balance. But what is the reward for something like that? What is the reward? What do we really want? Have you ever had the time your friends that you grew up with, some of us didn't even have friends that we grew up with, but some have. You can remember those friends and going on explorations and adventures. And you remember when you were a child how even running and things that you may consider a chore now were so fun. How characters were created and something was given life that was inanimate. Just a simple stick, a leaf, or a rock. And as we grew older, the things that we desired changed. And we became locked out of finding joy in the simple things. So truly, I can say, after trafficking this multiverse, that the greatest connection, what truly brings me happiness and fulfillment that can be made, is with your brothers and sisters. And this is so powerful because we've been looking for a space that we can connect with each other. And now that space is here. See, what we're going to introduce today is just another upgrade. But what we were able to accomplish by even creating this, it's already been done. And so I just want everyone here to imagine so that we can bring that imagination into the physicality, us all together and being able to create at our greatest magnitude and our uniqueness. And this is what we're developing, a conduit for that. Now, I can say for sure that we're all connected. I mean, it's simple math when you really know what's going on. And then there's this other thing. It breaks down as something simple. If you have a lot to do or something heavy to carry, isn't it always better when you have somebody there with you? When you're going through this turbulent situation or something that you may be braving like a fear, isn't it always amazing when you have someone there? It's almost like the fear doesn't even exist. So there should be no fear in what we're about to face in this world because we're together. And it's not just together because you could think right now, well, I don't know if we're together. We're still arguing and all these things. Nah, we're together. That's just how it works. And so the more we learn to come closer together and to eliminate time, that's what we have to think about here. We always give a time for something. Oh, I'm getting myself together. I'm about to do it. But at some point, just like we said, hey, December 30th, what? You got to give yourself the ability to get out of time and say, now. We're going to do this now. And so that's what we did. Now, we got to think about we. Okay? Because we has started to exist as this idea of multiple things that are all separate. And that's the beginning of the paradox. Because they kind of are. All of those separate cells in mitosis, but one big bubble where we're all together. And that actually creates the uniqueness. That gives us the space that we need to develop. That is exactly what this planet is. But now, it's time for it to take on that next stage. It's time for it to fully go into the energy that it was designed to truly carry. Some may call free energy. Now, free energy is not just gizmos and gadgets and things laying on the table, motors, lots of windings and coils, and that's not the only free energy. I like that too, though. But there is a free energy that we may have been ignoring, and that's how we feel around each other. That's how we smile and how we laugh when somebody is joking. That's how when we give someone something that we knew that they wanted or needed. Let me tighten up my mic here real quick. All right. All right. Take a little bit of water here real quick. There's no rush, you know, it's today, it's the 30th. That's why I didn't hit y'all on the 31st, because I know everybody be trying to figure out what you're going to do on the 1st. This is now you have an actionable. Once you walk away from this, your mind will be completely transformed. You'll be completely aligned. You'll have something to roll right into the 31st when you meet up with your family and friends and really tell them and herald to them that, yes, indeed, this is a new time. And we have remembered who we truly are, not just someone stuck in a net, a fish stuck in the net, struggling to get out, stuck in the body, struggling to get out, but actually something ready to go within. See, when you're trying to get to space, oh, I don't know if I want to get to the moon, but I'm going to buy my trip to the moon. But really, your moon is already inside. And so I also want everyone to really, really, really dial into that this is about us coming together, that there is no separation. A lot of what you're seeing here in this geometry of the torsion field, which is the key to free energy, shows you that there is a place for everything. Up, down, left, right, black, white, light, dark. All of the variations, there is a place for everything in the torsion field. So in order to completely interact with the torsion field, to completely interact with free energy, you have to let go. Let go of yourself, let go of everybody else, and expand into seeing what we all are together. Because that's when you get to the magnitude of things. Me separately, but with my brothers and sisters, oh my. And it's getting there, like you could see it, it's gone and coming back. You can see it, it's so many things that you can already visualize that we're going to do with this power and this creation because we chose to come together. We chose that there was nothing that should separate us. And that's what makes this message, this mission, this giving, this honoring, that's what makes it so powerful, because it can go anywhere. We're going to work, we're going to fun, and we're going to bring both of those into balance. And we're going to bring this to the world in all languages. So now we see that we need a focal point. So sometimes, you know, when people ask me questions in the beginning, it's my first time meeting them, and then they're pouring off with it, and I'm now dialing it in, my computer is running, and I'm thinking about what I'm going to say next. The first thing that steps in front now, since 2017, is that word sovereignty. Yeah? Sovereignty. And it's because, wow, when you achieve sovereignty spiritually, you feel the onset. It's coming your way of what's going to happen physically when you're released from all of the confines in all of the governances. Okay? Now, this is what I want to say about governances. Remember that there's an order here, a process of our growth. It's just like you wouldn't throw your 2-year-old into one of those new Tesla cars to drive off by itself. It's like, I think it'll be all right. So these are vehicles that move in different levels of power. And to be able to master that vehicle, you must be put through that lesson. You must be brought into that university, and that's where we are. So now we're about to see if these wings that we have are going to fly us into sovereignty. And in this case, when I say us, because many of us have been flying into sovereignty and flying back out, when I say us, I'm talking about the entire world. Now, some may say, well, that's, I don't know about that. But I do. Because I see clearly. And this is something, you know, our brother, you know, Martin Kinney, he mentioned, you know, it'd be just like 2020 vision. I said, yeah, because, you know, when I was younger, my eyes were what they say was over perfect. I could read the bottom lines of the eye chart. And they were like, yeah, he's got 20/20 vision. He can see. And I used to think that was like my superpower, even though I thought I couldn't see through anything. But in this case, this 20/20 has been the time that has been given to me and many others. Brother Sanchez, Santos. Like, I could go on and on and on about how many brothers and sisters are getting this transmission about 2020 is it. As far as you being on to your next stage, you will manifest your own future from here. This is the singularity point. Instant manifestation, instant regeneration will be available to the masses. Why? We're already talking about it now. Everybody will have to talk about it. If you're even maintaining a channel on YouTube, you will have to say something about the revelations of the torsion energy and free energy and the power of connection. And so that's how it begins. It spreads and it doesn't stop, because it also connects with the field that is around us. A field that is ready to take us to the next stage because it has been birthing us. And I'm talking about that torsion field. So let's see clear exactly how much we've gone through to get to this point. It's almost like, let yourself go already, be free. You know, I could see the previous challenges of wanting to make sure you don't take off too fast. So holding yourself down with gaps in your power called division. But once the clear facts are in front of us, we see a legacy. A legacy, an entire evolutionary honor of higher intelligence, greatness, uniqueness without end. And now we're taking our rightful place. And when I say taking, it's because, you know, some of us have to adapt the mindset of realizing that going up the coil takes an effort. And you want that. But you will make that effort. We will all earn what we receive. We are ready. And that's what all this training has been about, for what is going to happen and is happening right now, what is coming to us. So I remember when I first came out, as I always call it, came out of the portal. I just kept asking myself, I was riding around all day, man, where's my ship? I'm glad I was by myself. But I just kept saying, like, it just be logical that I had a ship. And this was when I was running more of a monologue with myself, you know, after merging completely with the higher self. Man, where's my ship? I had to leave my ship. And I kept thinking, you know, like the movies, I'd walk into a mountain or something and it opened up and I see my craft there and a crystal from my father. And however, when I made that total contact of being piped into something that you can ask anything and it just gives an answer, just said, you're sitting in it. Did you think that you would ever leave it somewhere? You're actually inside of your ship, but it's crash landed. You need to repair it. I think we spent a decade on repairs, moving throughout time, all of us, in and out of dream worlds, fixing the ship, collecting other brothers and sisters, because that is the ship. All the parts and the pieces, the organ, the tones and the vibrations, the baritones, the saxophones, bringing them all in to this present. It's interesting just how the whole thing unfolds, about how we emerge as the truth, something that is real, something that is tangible, something that brings forth the principles that we've learned and know are tried and true, and take this forefront so that humanity has an opportunity to see another stage of their existence, to not have an entire lifetime of wars and fighting and selfishness and greed, but to actually remember that that ring closed with the highest level of honor as we went on and went beyond together. That enjoyment that we all share when we're together. But imagine our Indian brothers and Hindu brothers and sisters, our Chinese brothers and sisters, African brothers and sisters, all removing those titles, those chains of words, and coming into the realization of their massive connections because we decided to make it happen. That's what mindful is. This is what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a slogan or a brand. We're talking about an embodiment, a vessel, a craft that is concerned, truly mindful about every single thing that is happening, and knows their way around all arts. And this is what we're presenting. This is something that we already even have internally. And externally, it's growing. The videos that you saw, for those that are new looking at this, the videos that you saw before this is the beginning of what we created already. And we perfected it. And everyone there and more went through the process of liking and then disliking and then liking and then disliking and then balancing. Like we all tried ourselves through this kiln. And now we are bringing forth all of those who have developed their uniqueness to create amazing things for the world. When we first developed ambassador training, the main embodiment of ambassador training was sovereignty. And after that, we agreed that instead of making it difficult on anyone, that we would actually carry the heavy burden. Those who had the skill of whatever we were trying to lift would carry the heavy burden. So if someone needed to know marketing, well, we had the best marketing guys. You know, we had Julie and Lee right there. If someone was needing anything, even in relation to the holistic levels of their growth, we were there meeting them with someone, or someone was there meeting them with their uniqueness and talent and ready to take them through that process. And that called traction, because it's coming from the highest aspects of who we are. This is also, as a tribe, what we took the most joy in. And that was awakening the uniqueness within each other. You can imagine if every single person that comes out of the womb, that comes out of our mother, that she's already cultivated, has a uniqueness that is to be unlocked. This means we should be waiting there to unlock that treasure and allow it to flow into all of our creations. As that also unique creation comes to love and enjoy its connection with us. This is the greatest beauty. This is what you could do all day, every day, without tiring. Just unlocking uniqueness like our ancestors. And so, in the same vein of our ancestors, we come into a time that looks futuristic, but has some ancient ways. And this is where we are now. And the same developments that have always been before us are here again. To take what we have, not to wish for something 1,000 years in the future or 20,000 years in the past, but taking what we have right now and merging that with who we know we are, and then letting that just be a glove that fits things perfectly, that everyone can put on. Something that would take the highest levels of intellect, such as the metaphysics that we've gained the knowledge of. Open source. These are the technology terms of things that created awareness, that masters coming together to create something creates a tool that all the masters are using, and it speeds us all along in our process. So this is what we developed, but it is founded on spiritual truths. It is founded on metaphysical awareness. In short, it's real. Again, with so much manufactured happiness, we come to something that's real, something that is open, something that is available. You can go right now and educate yourself about the highest states of self. Start perfecting your diet, working with the minerals, tapping into nature, connecting with your brothers and sisters that are on the vibe with you as you are on the path, and begin to explore and expand. Now, I'm going to read this because it states it's no secret humanity faces what seems to be insurmountable challenges, namely the illusion of separation and division. It is an illusion that we are separate. And addressing one's own human experience and purpose is the key to healing the sacred duality within, entering with heart, love, and courage. Because see, there's a sacred marriage going on inside where the spirit is married to the flesh. And this is a sacred union. And we come into the highest levels of respect in that union. And as it says, to create and to support equal, open, spiritual, and practical platforms that spur the advancements of the collective unity consciousness. So to serve in itself in the highest cause, because that is the honor of our marriage of spirit and flesh. And in every way that we exist, this must be done. And so taking the world that we're in now, that's what we set out to do 10 years ago. We got one more year left. When we started the resistance, still is there today. People can still go in on those 1,000-page articles. Oh, they're almost books of straight, raw wholeness. Just taking it like it is, taking it like we're seeing it and experiencing it and growing together. I remember when we were at 40 members and I celebrated, we're there! I still feel like that today. Every single point, every single moment when we're doing something, and it's like, we're there! And we're still traveling through this. But there is, for those who are just seeing us for the first time, a real decade of metaphysical mindfulness. And to be at this point of maturity, all of us together. I mean, there are people that I've seen since the first emails, us going back and forth with each other about, man, this is the same thing that I experienced. Thank you so much for being here. This is what drove this. You know, if you're sitting there by yourself, after a while, you just go away. But even when there was one person there, that made me excited to be there. And that one person grew into thousands of people. But just an ode to the legacy. We really did this, no matter what. We're not talking about something right now only that we want to do in the future. We already have a past. And whew, that past is beautiful. So when we see Astral Quest, Spirit Tech, and Secret Energy, we see the evolution in mindful. And in itself, instead of the word evolution, I'd say we see the synergy, the connection of it all coming together and all being cohesively entwined, because we really want to see the earth come into the full awareness of who it is, to not be supplanted. You know, supplanted is when someone steals your birthright. The human birthright is we are all powerfully connected. It's stolen from us when we see ourselves as separate. We would all carry around broken parts. Even when you felt whole, you would be missing something. The sky would not shine as bright with one star missing. And we need to think about this, because actually, we need to go beyond thinking. We need to know. We need to know that this stage is not acceptable any longer. We need to give ourselves clear actionables, setting dates. 2020, we're making a choice to see clear. This begins now. Total awareness. Seeing the growth, seeing the joy. You know, many on the line are 30 over. Even if you're 20 over, you can already say you lived a hell of a life. Just because of all of the things that you can do now, it's nothing like our grandparents. You can go into 5 or 6 different experiences all within a few hours. But there's some children coming after you that also need to go through their experiences. And as custodians of this energy, we need to be aware, completely aware, of where timelines intersect that will affect our creations, will affect our DNA, will affect who we are. For them, at least. You know, some are doing it for themselves. So this is about a massive convergence point. You know, finally, when our clocks are not broken, someone has taken the time to set clocks and to make it that endeavor, just as many of us have gone out to do different things. We've made it our endeavor to understand where we are in space and in time right now. And what these calendars tell us is they tell us that we are on the point of a massive convergence where we're all going to be pushed inward. And I'll tell you, that means that you'll find us all there. This is an actionable movement to go within and to find each other there. Again, special thanks to our brother Martin Kinney, Santos Bonacci, Brother Sanchez, brothers that's bringing this knowledge. Thank those brothers for spending their time in the syncretism and bringing this so that way just in enough time. It makes perfect sense though, right? You got a year to really, really see who you are and to be the best you can be. Great. Great. Finally, somebody rang the bell. Because when we do that, it moves us all to action. And so we're going to get into action. And now sometimes when you say action, people immediately see themselves running somewhere. Okay, I'm gone. I'm gone into action. Actually, no. You're going to go within. You're going to realize what we've all learned, those that are masters on the path, is that in order to get any kind of solution, because of the direction it is, because you even are saying you have a problem, then you have to go inside for that, because that's the right direction. So this involution creates a solution. So these involutional technologies, if you may, are designed to bring people together and then bring them inside, not to pull them outside and then into some digital device, some screen, and then stay there for long amounts of times, just in wasting time. This is about taking time also as an asset, as an energy, and as a current, and utilizing it for its highest value in order to assist those that are on the planetary system with more solutions for what they may be experiencing. How can we do something like that? How can we do something like that? That's the big question. It's 2018. It's about to be 2019. And when you see where the world is, you can't just say, well, I think we should do it like this. We've all had those ideas. I think we should do it like this. I think we should do it like this. And I put a lot of stuff into play and just saw, okay, well, that worked kind of. Maybe we should do it like this. And then many others have done the same thing. Now I've learned to assess everything before I make moves and decisions, just to avoid wasting time, just to avoid building something up that you have to tear down again. And this is, again, the launch pad of what we're bringing. The mindful app, mindful eneology, mindful bot, mindful kids. So I'm going to take you through a brief overview of exactly what these applications do, a little bit about how they're deployed, and in short, an ecosystem, a city, how that's created. How we take these technologies that have still been uniting us and connecting us with so many things and turn them into something that will actionize our metaphysical endeavors in a quantum way to bring quantum solutions. Just going to take a brief moment, get a sip of water. I'm just going to unfold this for you so you can see how much love we're bringing into our intelligence.
Okay, family, here we go. Now, the Mindful app, now let's talk just a little bit about conception points here, you know, before we get too far ahead and, you know, some may get lost a little bit in why something like this would be necessary. And it's just that, so when I jumped into this, I have a slightly technical background. And what I mean by that is that, you know, the computer world and programming and apps and development and coding is an entire sector by itself. So I could have a technology background, but I may not have a technological background in coding. But I totally get technology. And I also get what happened wrong with technology. Peter Thiel had one statement that he made, and this, of course, is the developer of PayPal. You know, Elon Musk guy, friend that you don't hear too much about, the one who's developed the most massive artificial intelligence mainframe on the planet. He made one statement that really stuck with me when I was just trying to see, well, what's this guy about? How is he ticking? Why is he developing these things? And he said, see, the United States and the Western world, they went in the wrong direction. They went in the way of the bit. While in the Eastern countries and countries like China, they went the way of the atom. So while we will see these consistently progressive technologies, ultimately, when it comes to regeneration and when it comes to things that are really important for the survival of the human species, like fighting diseases and all that kind of stuff, we've kind of went in the opposite direction. And I thought about that because I was like, yeah, that's exactly spot on, because especially from what we've been seeing in many of these university semesters about the atom and exactly what it is, as we now know, the torsion fields, and all of this is atomic knowledge, atomic metaphysics, if you may, nuclear metaphysics, if you may, implosion, if you may. And to not give our children and even ourselves the opportunity to benefit in that age of new energy is impossible this lifetime for me. To not only allow myself, but you to experience or continue to experience an existence without the power of this knowledge being aware to us. So when I say this torsion knowledge, which I'll call it, it equates to free energy, because we can't go into a new stage without there being a new energy. But now some of the things that I'm saying right now are going to take an entire rollout. It's going to take some time for a person to understand or understand the step-by-step process of even getting to what I'm talking about. And we get that. We want to give every single person the respect, the due respect of making the proper choices and the decisions based on what they're being told and what they're learning. However, in that time period that is going to take them to figure that out, not only do we need to create things that speed that process along, but we also need to create a place that is shielded from disinformation and things that would distract a person from being able to continuously expand. So I had ideas of tracking spiritual progress over lifetimes. I had ideas of mapping the dream world based on cloud-based systems that we could all report what we were experiencing. But, you know, that's way out there. That's 30th century. But now what I realize is that we need actionables. We need a system that tells us, like some say it's syncretism. We call it eneology. Some call it other things, but a system that actually is able to adapt to our uniqueness. And then we need something to deploy that through. So what you're looking at is you're looking at our effort to bring in a mainframe that every single thing that you would need to get to the next stage of your metaphysical journey, as far as what we're deploying through this system, it's right there at your fingertips. So we're talking about comprehensiveness, what you need, the comprehensive profiling. This is where every single thing that is necessary for you to know based on the choices that you have made, the topics that appeal to you most, the things that you feel like are where you need to go in conjunction with a system that tells you about yourself is immediately accessible. You see, because there's some systems out there. I think human design is an amazing system. But man, trying to keep track of all that data. You know, they built some apps, but man, it's just like, I would love this to augment or help or assist with something or join with something. So can we create something that has all of the metrics of the human existence there to be able to say, hey, this is something that you would probably want to work on next since you're on a certain path. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how we get that data in a little bit. But I just want you to see here that how our apps are designed is to give you the metaphysical augmentations. This could be the frequencies, the tones that are needed in certain sessions. This could be if you have 15 minutes and you need to know as much as you can about certain topics specifically in relation to metaphysics, where we can get information to you directly that only spans that time. So no more 3-hour recordings from me that you're trying to watch over the next 2 years. It's the 5 minutes. But every single time something was mentioned that you were interested in that will push you further on your path. But unifying components that, since I began in this process of actually creating these platforms and developing websites, etc., that many were asking for, is just having that ability and that opportunity. Let me roll one of my slides back here real quick. But just having that ability and that opportunity to not only see who is in an area that has chosen for that to be on, obviously. They could toggle on something inside the platform. And this screen is going to go white, so I'm just going to explain to you what you were looking at. But something that we can toggle inside of the platform that allows us to say, hey, I'm over here. Is there any other seekers around me? Anybody else out there vibing into this vibe? There's so many features here. I almost am like, hey, let me even wait till next year for me to explain to you just how much we put into this platform. But the cohesion. So how the cohesion works is obviously you can link with others and you can connect with others through the platform. Obviously, you can get your genealogy actionables. This is the next stage on your own collective journey and what to do next. Obviously, you will continuously earn as we've put in our own protocols of share and earn, gamifications that allow you to give us your opinion and we award you for that opinion. We also have our affiliations where we're awarding commissions for your unobtrusive marketing. And we also have digital asset development, which is the next evolution of our soul coaching, where you see beautiful CDs by Naya because she's developed that through the platform and we've assisted her in that growth process of the budding of her uniqueness. You see that extensive meditation package from Mark Roman, getting into the depths of the soul, calling upon the bliss. And you see all of that in our own ecosystem and us showing love to each other and with each other, and also empowering each other to create more and do more that can be continuously also fed to the world so that they can nourish themselves from wholeness. So when you start thinking about this already, and again, this was something we were going to talk about next year, and I will tell everyone now, we love to come out with the greatest levels of perfection and do our best, so that's what we do. But there was a real intention to make sure that every single person that is listening understands that we're setting resolutions here. It doesn't narrow down just to an app. It actually, and this is of course not just an app, there's a lot of power and love and connectivity. And this is a throughput. So our resolution is that love and that unity and that connectivity. And this is one of the actions. But having the power of our own ecosystem in the conscious community, there's a term called bi-pressure that people need to become familiar with. And it just means that when you are a group that is large and that is powerful, that you do have say-so, and that if for one moment you did come together, you would create something so powerful that others would not be able to challenge it because they are not that unified. Okay? And that's how you dominate financial markets, if you may. Any energetic market can be freed through these actions of unity. So the deployment, again, of these technologies actually equal that we have an ecosystem. A place that, as long as we can continuously connect through it, it is fully robust in making sure that that happens. We have an exchange that allows us to have an input-output. Person comes with nothing, no problem. We can get you started right away. You could become a specialist. We build value into you right away. You could take this training that others have truly paid for and that we dialed in sovereignty. It's in the air. We can get you started. We can assign you to a person that has already been through this process and knows how to whip it up. If you got a will, we have the way. And as I said, the marketplaces of the uniqueness and where the uniqueness can be properly dispersed, which I'm saying is the digital asset. But we're talking about taking the current, the real currency, the real power, as you heard me say in that video, that the biggest issue is, like, if you look at the city at night, you look at all those lights and it just looks so amazing at first. But then when you start thinking about it, everybody's tied in to this umbilical cord, this backbone, if you may, as they call it, just as a huge cable of power. And a lot of people aren't even aware of this. Like countries like Panama, Costa Rica, and Nicaragua have literally one fat wire. That power comes from the north down into these areas. One pipeline of power. And that pipeline actually went out last year during the hurricanes and all that for whatever reason. There was no power from Panama all through Costa Rica to half of Nicaragua. Right? I went and bought a generator. And then I cut the generator on and all the noise it was going crazy. And I was like, I can't work by this. What is this? It's like, what's up? You know, there's not even an electric motor, so it's running real quiet and clean. Like, where are we at with our power? So in addressing that power, to speak into that power, to make the change with the power, we must become the power. So it's not just becoming the bank or a battery storing. It's becoming the circulatory system. So as we keep going through this, and as I said again, you know, we will be coming through this again next year, and you know, we'll change up the presentation and style. You know, maybe you see a little bit more of me, or you know, but I wanted everyone again that was involved in what we were doing to not roll into this new year, because you know what they're going to do. You're going to take a moment here, right? You can see what they're going to do. They're already baiting it up, right? It's like, oh man, you know, everybody comes back, probably don't have jobs. This guy's arguing over building a wall. It's all about division. It's all about, and then that can disease the mind, especially if this is the first, I didn't even get a chance to really get out of the whole dashing through the snow before already, here we go with something crazy again. So this is what most people's mindsets are going to be like. So when you come around them, it's just going to be all doom and gloom. And because next year is the most important year. It's the ramp up process. It's like when the coil starts to go into its center spring. And if in that process it's like you're just Eeyoring it, and everybody else around you even suggesting through the hidden language, which is body language, suggesting that it's all over and we're all doomed and there's nothing that we can do. Because there's a lot of ingratitude. That's what that is. It's ingratitude. How can you have nothing to do with 2 legs and 2 hands? How could you have nothing to do with a library? How could you have nothing to do even with these internets, with all this knowledge and people that you can go and ask and say, hey man, you think I can use your lathe? You think you could teach me how to mill? You know, I'm really interested. I'm open. See, when I was younger, we used to always you just look for somebody to maybe take you under the wing and teach you something. My mom always taught us that way, man. Get under somebody's wing, let them teach you something. These days, youngsters come in and they could be looking at Willy Wonka's factory and just be asking where the chocolate is. It's like, well, what about the Oompa Loompas? What about the rest of the things and how to build with them? So what I'm getting at here is that we will step in place because we see something happening in the reality right now, and we are piqued in our own consciousness and our own awareness to know it's next year that we need that is the time that we have to gear up and get unified and what some say boss up and actually get to our deployment of our systems and our communities and what we're doing for our children, our education and all of that. And why people have been snoring or some have been saying, yeah, we're going to do it. What we've done is been climbing all through all of this, learning about this, teaching, connecting, the fights, the makeups, the medicines. We've been going through all this to get up this mountain, to get to the place where we can do something for each other rather than depending on somebody else that's never showing up. That's what this is about. So the reason why also we chose, for some that may be asking themselves about some of the things that we've developed, especially like with gamification. The reason why we chose to go these routes, like having our own current, things that you learn from even what happened with crypto, okay? The reason why you want something like this is because it empowers you to be able to make a move to do something without waiting or asking for something. Inside of the ecosystem itself, there's enough power to actionize our next goal. And the people that are inside of the ecosystem are not only seeing the incentives for that, they're also going through it when they do use it with joy because it's simple and it's easy. And it's designed for a person to actually be able to go through it, earn something, have fun, connect with someone, and then get out there and make something happen. So again, that's gamification. But we saw big things already come forward. The open source came forth. Now they're doing simple gamifications. We're like gamification on steroids at this point. And the reality is that this is all about connecting source energy. This means that instead of trying to find where the next oil derrick is, instead of trying to find where the next plug socket is, you only need to go within, and that's where you find everything. And then as we're doing that together, because I said this is a torsion field, so the electromagnetics, when your energy is going in that direction, it's pulling everything to you. So everybody that you ever wanted to meet and all those people that you wanted to connect with, you don't got to go out and try to find them. Get yourself together within. Repair. Look at how those terms, together, the two gather. Which means pair. Pair means two. Repair. Why are these words put like that? Because there's another half of you that often stays disconnected from who you are. And with source energy, which teaches you how to do it, shows you how to do it, connects you to it, and this is us, it's organic. With source energy, you have the opportunity to go into a totally different phase with yourself. And I can say, like, if you still have any judgments, like if there's still something that you're mad about, somebody you feel that you need to pay back, somebody you feel that needs to pay you back or pay us back, any of that kind of mindset, if you can say that you're experiencing that to any degree right now, then you have something amazing coming to you because source energy is not that. So then you can account for any distress and any turbulent situations that you may have been experiencing on this path and getting forward will decrease drastically when you're tapping into source energy and realizing the power of this torsion force. Let's keep going. Let's go all the way. Instead of us always hanging behind, like, I just don't get it. It's like we are the most advanced beings, but somehow we're in a world where we're not pioneering all the technological aspects of the connection that we want to share. Now, what other people choose to use is what they want to use, but what we use has to have the ability to connect us on all levels. But for us to pioneer something like that, we got to be brave, because people can easily get it twisted. There's so many conflicted things. It's like watching people watch the Oscilla clock video yesterday. You get that literally 20% of the people are not even listening. They're so busy talking. They're so busy conflicting. They don't even sit back for a moment and say, well, wait a minute, let me look at what I'm looking at. Because basically what is being presented here is a geometry. And now it gets dialed in further and further with days, months, years, how that's connected, the shape of the earth, which is obvious, lies that would be told to lead you astray. And I just want to take one moment again, because somebody asked a question in there. And it was one of my biggest questions in relation to any of the flat earth theories. And that question was, why? Why is it so important to change the shape of what something would look like? I don't get it. Like, that's a lot of work to do to keep falsifying something. Why would you want to? It didn't connect. I'm going to connect it for you. Because when you know the real shape, you know the shape of free energy. The two happen simultaneously. It's a hyperdimensional field. It's a hyperdimensional shape. So if you knew the real shape of Earth, you'd automatically know the shape to free energy. And then it would just, within a few nights, you would already start mumbling equations, starting to look at your body and seeing this is what would occur if that was the world you were living in. So the new world order is to change the idea in your mind of what the world looks like. And that's why the new world order was all big into the oil and all big into the combustion. And now they're crying global warming and terror and chaos and war. And that's all where that connects, because it's not free. And in fact, if we look at it, and I'll mention it here just for the record, there's way too many middlemen in the energy, just to understand energy dynamics. If the energy is oil, I can't eat oil. You can't eat oil directly. We can't take a spoon of oil and be like, it's great, give me another one. We can't do it. So thus, this oil has to become gas, and then we put it in our car, and then we drive to work. That's already one disconnection. Now, whatever I'm generally doing at work, it doesn't have anything to do with anything I can eat. If I'm making iPhones or if I'm making batteries, I can't eat those. So once again, there's another disconnection. I still haven't ate yet, but I'm still working and still using energy. So let's say that's my job. So now when they finally pay me, they give me a check. I cannot eat this, so I must go and cash it. And then they give me some cash maybe or some digits. I cannot eat this. And then I must take this cash and digits and then go to a store and then finally buy what I can eat. I basically just told you 4 or 5 middlemen in a certain tense. Things that will broker or break your energy so you will be broke, literally. And so this is, of course, something that was well known at certain points and then not as known. And then we've now seemed to be at this stage where we can do nothing about it, but we can. And that's what these ecosystems are really about, us coming together and being the current, using our knowledge and our intelligence in order to create something that people have never seen before. Now, in order for us to do that, though, we will have to become that. See, that's the thing. I don't go outside anymore in the sense to the external. Oh, I'm going to go and find out what I'm going to be. No, I have to go inside to know who I am. But this process of mentorship, if we're fortunate enough to have a guide, or that internal mentorship that we all have to go through, it doesn't have to start from scratch. That's what DNA is. DNA is all the knowledge and all the memories of things that have been possible to this point. And you can draw into that. You're using much of that right now, and you're seeing and breathing and all that. You're seeing all that stuff that's already been put into play. So when we start asking ourselves, hey, has the knowledge of kind of how we act or how certain people act, is that already known? And yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. That initially, just like any tree or any structure bears resemblance to its parents, there are archetypes that are assigned to how we express ourselves. But even beyond that, because, we cannot be confined in anything, we have our uniqueness. So we have this original pattern that we can go by, like a tracing board, if you may. And then once we learn that completely, then we can put in our uniqueness, and that gives it the final spin, the extra flair. So in my process of beginning life coaching, or what we came to know as soul coaching, I came across systems that were telling us more about ourselves. And we began to collaborate a system that even with your birthday and a little more metrics, we can dial in so close to what exactly you're experiencing, it's shocking. It was so shocking to me, I took to finding out about every single path. In this case, there was 9 paths. And I thought that this was amazing, this was brilliant, because in this 9 paths, I could come to full understanding of actually being able to communicate with everyone. Because, see, when you say anything, that is already your motive. If you're saying something, you're either expecting someone to hear or to respond. So your motive is already there if you're saying or talking. So if you're going to make that effort, what better than to know how to talk to someone specifically? Meaning that not everybody responds to the same form of communication. You can't talk to everyone the same way. And this is just the beginning of what Enealogy reveals. It takes you into the depth of you as first actionizing your own path, knowing who you are on that path. You will read it. If you want to just disagree anyway, you'll disagree. But if you look really closely, you'll be like, man, are you serious? So once you know that what you're doing and kind of how you're acting is written, now you can become mysterious. You can master the kapoth that you may have been facing. Maybe you need to dial deeper into family. Maybe you need to understand exactly how to be a leader. And we have all of those courses for you and actionable through the app, stuff that takes you outside into the real world to give you the real experience, or connect with masters that can teach you about that experience. Takes you deeper into yourself. And then once you come out, in this case, you would implode. You move on to your next path. Your next, what we can say is logical step after being in a certain path, is another one until you master all the paths, if that's what you choose. Some may choose to master only a few paths. Some may choose to master their own path. Again, some may master all paths and go into the highest stage of awareness of self. No thing. Unlearning. But Enealogy is a way for us to dial into these metrics and stay on track with these metrics. It's important. Just like taking supplements at times, your mega hydrates, your Shilajits, make sure you're getting the right minerals in this daily life or you're exhausting your energy. It's just as important as that is, being able to be reminded about that, being able to interact with others that are on that same quest and on that path. And again, feeling the connection of coming more and more into developing your own fruit. See, we're all trees. That's what our uniqueness really is. It's our fruit. We can bear our fruit. Like, you see how many mangoes a mango tree produces? Pineapple trees, papaya trees, it's abundant. And then it keeps growing it more and more. But see, if you're doing something that is not your uniqueness, what happens is that you end up growing something for someone else. Right? something that doesn't actually feed everyone and barely feeds you. But when you develop your own uniqueness, you feel happy when you're doing that. You don't even feel like you're working. We call it funning. But in order for that to be created, it actually takes more people to get into that dynamic. And that's what we've done. We found that, yeah, some of us really love these presentations, like this beautiful presentation put together by our brother Chris. You know, and him putting his heart and his efforts into this and connecting with who we are, being here, us going on the journeys, our families meeting each other, our kids playing together, so that we can dial in this special mission we all must bring forward. Like every single person here, I can't start even naming names because I wouldn't be able to name enough. But this is about the accountability, that when someone is not there, does it continue? When someone can't answer a question, is there something there? When someone doesn't feel like it, is something there still doing it? That's what this is about, redundifying the cohesion of the awareness of who we are. Because we seem to have this tendency to forget. This is something that we would just have to bring up. How could we start learning about who we are unless we had forgotten somehow, or this is just the beginning? Either way, we're still experiencing the same outcome. So knowing ourselves is something that is something that has to be taken into a level of mastery, meaning that we should respect it enough to catalog it. Like knowing certain experiences that you've had and where you're at on a certain stage. We can remember slogans, old chimes and songs from nursery rhymes and toys. But things from ourselves, we often forget. So we want somewhere to make sure we are able to keep that and that we can keep exploring that. But again, you know, this is a big life we're dealing with right now. There's a lot that happens in one day. I couldn't definitely film my whole day, my every single day of my life and actually try to store all that data. It's too much. And that's why I have this statement. And this statement is that there are things that humans do very well, but there are things that we just don't want to do. Meaning that what the computer has introduced into our lives is a lot of repetition. Like still, every single key that you see here of every single word has been the tap of a person that is pushing that on their keyboard. And all of that repetition and going back and copying and pasting and all this, it can take away from life. So there's also a lot about accountability. Let's just face it. We're in the future. Time is moving quantum. We have so much to do. I can think of 3 things that I need to remember right now that I'll forget within the next moment. So with all of this coming in, are we making sure that we're able to preserve the knowledge and the wisdom and deliver that knowledge and wisdom on the fly to anyone that is in need of it? See, because we have the courtesy now. Anybody that's actually getting the conversation and getting a lot of the previous shows, you have the courtesy now because you have this aptitude that is allowing you to be aware of exactly what is being said. However, each person has to go through that experience for themselves. So has the path been laid for their feet? Has it been cut out? And see, there were issues that even we ran into when we tried to collaborate all of the metaphysical information and knowledge that we had learned. Even one of our shows, Keymaker Show, may produce upwards of 50 questions that have yet to be answered. But then there's a lot of questions that have been answered already. So what I sought out to do was develop something that also allows us to have something that is more cohesive than maybe somebody at 2 o'clock in a chat room, 2 o'clock a.m. in a chat room. Or even if you didn't want to interact with someone directly because you just wanted to know the answer to something, but you wanted to make sure you got the most tried and true answer of something that is related to metaphysical expansion of your mind, your body, your soul, etc. So in this case, something like a droid for the Jedi Master in a tense. Something that you can easily put away. It's not the lightsaber. But in every tense, it just comes in and it does really well what needs to be done in an environment that is using the technologies that we're using now. This is what we're calling MindfulBot, which is, to me, the next stage in every tense of what can be done with neural networks and machine learning, which is basically a fancy way to say a search engine. You know, they love to big it up so they can put like, you know, these $4 billion price tags, machine learning, neural networks, closed environments, vacuums, but truly, an overblown search engine. Now, relevancy is key here though. See, if every single time I said Kundalini, or anyone else that you valued their opinion said Kundalini, as far as your mentors and spiritual instructors, if there was something that can just bring all that in line for you in the time span in which you have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, to actually be able to give you not only answers, but to deploy actionables, because answers don't always include solutions, if you may have noticed. And what I mean by that is that if somebody asks me, hey, can I activate Kundalini with a bad back? I may answer that question. This is how your back would look on the astral plane. These are things that you should notice. But either way, when I answer that question, what the person is really saying is that I injured my back. Do you have a solution? So I have to be intuitive enough to know how to answer a question, but also know that a solution must follow up a question, or else another question comes. So for years, I sat behind the mainframe, yours truly, and answered thousands of spiritual questions being asked to me through a chat-based system like Teamwork or Zendesk, right? A ticketing system where somebody say, hey, I want to know about this. And because I made myself available, I was answering all the time. Well, it's this. Up until a point where it accumulated approximately 9,000 questions. And when I saw all that one day, when we were about to transfer systems, I was about to delete everything and go move over to the new system. And I said, man, there's 9,000 answers. And I said, well, I guess like over 5 years, it would have to be, somewhere in there. So needless to say, we started crawling back over that data. And we found that most of the questions have already been answered. But we needed something to serve those answers. And also to serve them at the frequency of 1,000 answers a minute or a second. That people could query it even in different languages and it can give them the answer. And these answers are not coming from robots. These answers are coming from the solutions that we're finding. And as we're finding solutions, we're being mindful to place those solutions somewhere where people can access them at relevant times. So, we're updating everything. We're taking the power of this machine learning and the neural network system, and we're going to plug in the metaphysical data. As they say, a metaphysical data set. And we're going to teach this thing how to accurately answer spiritual questions all the time. It's not that difficult. Like I said, they want to make it so complex. But in this case, this is now neural networks coming to serve metaphysics. So that's what we do. We bend the technology to our spiritual and metaphysical needs. And we keep deploying more systems that release us from the system. Somebody says, well, how could that be? How are we getting released? Because the only thing this system is doing is taking you back inside. It's not just saying, here's the answer to your question, next question. No. Once you accessed it, it begins to deploy the next stage of your actionable mission. It answers your questions with solutions. And most importantly, when things get beyond what it can handle, like I said, there are certain things that machines also don't do very well. It can easily handshake with a soul coach. That means literally transfer you into a soul coaching system. Soul coaches are those who graduate eniology and discover their uniqueness, become soul coaches. And because soul coaches have specifics that they work on, and this is what makes it so dynamic, you can vibe with someone just based on their interests and even what you see as you go through their profile. But what MindfulBot will do, based on the information that you've already given, which is things that are allowing us to take you through the eniology process, is pairs you with a soul coach and makes recommendations for a soul coach that is vibing with where you are. So that way you have the accountability, because you could be going on a fast or plan to go on a fast. 2 weeks later, you still haven't gone on a fast. We don't need just a robot. Did you go on a fast? No, we need a real person to move in and like, okay, so what's going on with the fast? Okay, we're all fasting at this specific time. And that's another feature within our platform, is that we have a live area to where when we're meditating, or in those group meditations, or where something is going on within the tribe, there's a live feed always of being able to join to those actions, because the power of collective energy must be wielded now. Our collective global meditations, utilizing what we've learned in the honorings, like I said, growing our amplification, our organic amplification technologies. This puts us all into the total synchronization to where you just feel intuitively when it's time. You don't even have to turn on the computer. It's like waking up at 5:30 in the morning. If you keep doing that, you just automatically wake up. That same level of connection. So in recapping, so others get it, we're talking about full-blown automation, metaphysical automation, something that gets things along while it's still taking maybe a physical person time to move into that framework and to get you situated properly. We're talking about a metaphysical help desk populated with thousands of questions and answers that are constantly being updated, made relevant, and being fed into this system. And then we're talking about pioneering and introducing a whole different way of using neural networks and machine learning and seeing what they really have for metaphysics and expanded consciousness. So that's what we're talking about. However, that's not it. You just can't develop something like that. And by the way, you know, these are things that we're just grabbing out of the ether and saying, this is what we're doing. And, you know, and then just adding a bunch of stuff. No, this is all things that we sat for a long time and thought about. And we calculated exactly what we're experiencing and exactly what we would need to really, really pull off something like world unity. Not city unity, not just house unity, not just personal unity, but global, if not cosmic unity in 2018. In this case, 2019. So you have to be aware of where we're at. You know, you could come out with sandals and sheep cloth, you know, and just totally not be dressed for the event here in 2018. Unless you hit one of these conscious festivals up, though, you'd be right in. So, just so we understand it, there's another stage to this, because we really want to move into these cells. And what do I mean by that? Like all those cubicles. Like you can look downtown right now, if you have a view, or you know, Google a picture, you see all those cubic windows that people, your brothers and sisters, are in these spaces. They're spending so much time, they're working so hard, you know, just to keep the family together. You know, they're still fighting, it's not enough time, it's not feeding them. They're dying in there. So the enterprise level of MindfulBot allows there to be an integration with corporations to offer metaphysical support to their employees. And what we're talking about is corporations being responsible for the metaphysical, which is the spiritual and the physical and what goes on after work aspect of the people that they're calling employees. And also in our grander realization that because most of these people, these beautiful beings, make a lot of the decisions that we have to live with every single day. If we can get them acclimated and in tune with themselves and filled with love and compassion, that's an entirely different way of going about change. So you see, that's why we have to be intelligent. We have to be wise. And we have to be ready to apply that wisdom. Let's say you have knowledge, but when you add knowledge and application, it's when you start getting into the onset of what wisdom truly is. So when you spend this much time in developing something, taking it all the way and saying, how can it be for everyone? Will we see Nike using MindfulBot in line with its support systems in order to provide metaphysical assistance for its employees, if not its own customers? In MindfulBot deploying thousands of licenses to bring people into an ecosystem that is genuinely concerned about their future growth. Now, we would know, of course, something like this would only come about when it's just absolutely no other option. So that's also how we've designed things, and so that there's basically no other options. It makes things very simple, meaning when there is a question about whether one should use or what system one should use in order to get healing, especially in 2019 and what's going to go on, this will be number one, and then maybe they have some taper off after that because of how dynamic it is. It is not just a robot. It is not just a software. It is a fusion of all of the things that we know brings about wholeness. So as we keep going through this, we can see that now we're talking about an ecosystem. Now we're talking about a conscious marketplace. Now we're talking about metaphysical education. And we're talking about the world's first conscious neural network. In there with the other neural networks like, hey, maybe I should teach you something. So you have to have not only imagination, like Tesla, he had a great imagination. He could build it all in his mind. That's the imagination, the image nation, to be able to create a world inside of your mind. But then you must have the womb to birth it into this world. So it takes the bravery and the courage. Like, think of our mothers. Every time they have a baby, they're thinking about, wow, the world is dangerous right now. Should I bring this baby in? It needs this time to live, though. So you have to be courageous in what you're doing to truly, truly bring about the change. The child is the change of the parent. So, as I said, there will always be many around that will disagree. But those will be the same ones enjoying, especially when there's nothing else. Meaning that as we roll into things right now, what do we really see that is really powered for us? There's many things I still want to give respect and honor to all the way showers and the path makers. Every single person that set out with their heart to do the best, I thank you. But I now challenge all of us to take what we have and stop compartmentalizing ourselves into these aspects of thinking something is not for us and can't assist us or will kill us. There's what is the old scriptures? No weapon shall formed against me shall prosper. They got really far with that because it instills you with courage and it makes you fearless because it makes you aware of the truth that unless you make something your enemy, it cannot show up as that because everything is you. So this is what we mean by this term, mindfully modern. We have fused the ancient with the future to bring a bridge at this point for humanity at this time to actionize our next stage that we need to go through together in this discovery and in this deprogramming process. But we're not done. In fact, we would not be done at all, especially to have conversations about the future and not consider our children. It would be preposterous for us to venture out to the highest stage of consciousness, if you may, and not have something that our kids are right there with us. Any parent knows that you're just waiting for the child to get to the age where you could take them everywhere because we roll together. This society and this idealism that the kids, oh, well, no, they got to be by themselves. And yeah, they could be by themselves together. That's how we roll with it. They could be by themselves together. Let all of them be together. But they need that support and they need that growth. And all the sacred mothers that have done this amazing job at bringing us through these fields and giving us this connection with this knowledge, you know, despite their ability to see the future. Just take a moment to honor the sacred mothers. All the teaching and the learning that must go on and all the patience that must happen just to that divine archetype. Some may say, well, my mama wasn't. Okay, well, go to the divine archetype. That's what we're talking about. What's behind the eyes, that force. You know, it's just so amazing to realize that what we're standing on in the truest extent of this word, God, that is it. Meaning we're standing on God. We're standing on the supreme being. It's like how, like they say, okay, well, where is God? It would never be further than something that you were already contacting. It's in the air. But even deeper, do we not see that the being that we're standing on, is actually the real life force? And this is another reason why it's almost impossible for them to tell a straight truth about what this looks like and what this is capable of doing. And this is because when you know the principles of energy, then you know that nothing that has energy is dead. Everything that has energy is alive. And because the earth has this electromagnetic and even beyond, I like the way Dynamo Jack put it, it's not electricity, silly, it's chi. It has a chi-based system moving through it and currents that can be tapped for unlimited power. Only though when one is in the awareness that if something has power, that means it has life. And you must establish a form of communication and connection. And the most important thing here, in every single thing that we talked about today, is just to make sure that our children know that. We can even write sometimes ourselves off as the sacrifice. But if that is to be done properly and you are to ascend after that, you would definitely need to make sure that it was our children that we were sacrificing anything for. So this is a literal call to action in saying that there are maxims that our children need to know that will forever shape their future. It doesn't matter what other people say to them. If they know the real shape of the design and why it's shaped like that, their minds can never be infiltrated. If they know certain levels of the mathematics that are fun to learn, they can solve problems rapidly in their mind, not just mathematical problems, any problem. So there are things that we've learned like what we do with our diets. That instead of us trying to create curriculums, because all of what we've bought here today is doable. It is something that we can begin deploying with proper assistance rapidly. However, when you talk about writing an entire curriculum from, let's say, K to 12th grade, anybody that says that they could whip something like that up and get it done right away, they're a liar. There's so many integers in there when you learn children, you study children. So I was always the scientist or the metaphysicist or the alchemist laying over his desk sobbing about the inability at times to understand how to bring a complete education to our children, while of course also doing that for our adults, which is what I engaged in for the last 10 years. I always wanted to get in with the children. And now that we're at this crescendo, I feel honored. I feel gifted to be able to bring solutions that I feel will be instrumental for child nourishment, growth, health, by bringing in an ecosystem where they can learn, connect, and also see the diversity of others around the world. And this was birthed in many ways, but there was one time where, when I was younger, when I first, I think America Online had just came online, I jumped into a chat. And the first thing I chat, because I saw the chat moving, was, are these real people? Are you real people? And somebody in the chat, they said, LOL, yeah, we're real people, because everybody was still amazed about this, being able to communicate in an instant through chat. Imagine. So as we moved on years later in the future, so there was a connection there just to be able to connect with people. These are adults. I'm even able to talk to them. But years later, when Prodigy and all of that, everything went further and further, and, finally, we went beyond Oregon Trail. There was the times where you would jump into something and there would be someone foreign there. See, I'm still coming from an age where they didn't even think video calling was going to be possible. So you see all the doubts and then you see it happen. You see all the doubts and then you see it happen. So you got to get familiar with that. And all of us have been through past history. You've seen when people have been doubting things and then it happened. So one of the things that impacted me was when I jumped into a chat with a Chinese guy, I believe. And I was just a kid coming from a very secular environment. Just, my street, my block, my neighborhood, my friends. And here I am connecting with somebody way in China. And I just felt like I had gone so far. And so the thing is, what I'm bringing up here is that stuff for you that may not be important is important for our children and impacts them in a totally different way. Because I'm just giving you a little window in of my experience of doing something that you do every day that doesn't make a difference anymore. Like when you jump in and have an opportunity to talk with someone from India, maybe you don't even say anything. I'm still the one in there, what's up guys, what's going on? Still working on that conversation, working on that connection, working on that communication. So we want our children to have that same connection. So what we build inside of the Mindful app and the Mindful ecosystem is equally repurposed or deployed in its own respective right into the Mindful Kids Network, which is a social network for development. It is also a process where, actually, I understand now that this slide actually was updated, and so possibly the information that you're actually seeing now didn't actually catch that update, but that's fine. So I can obviously give you just an overview. Kids get bored very fast. This is why they're playing a lot of games and spending a lot of time on those iPads. And we know that we need to get ready to allow these technologies to be a means to an end, meaning something that they utilize in the right way that then allows them to get back to where me and you were when we were younger and outside playing all the time and delving into the stuff that nature had to teach us, but everything in equal measure. So also when you send your kids into school, if you didn't notice, they pick up every single thing from other kids around them. And then you get your child back with another person's rearing and education. So we want and are going to create an ecosystem where parents and children that are on this level of bringing their children into a greater state of consciousness unite to share the load in not only creating materials, which we're overseeing and actually producing, but not only creating materials, but also assisting each other in balancing the load in itself. Meaning that many of the mothers still trying to get time for themselves, still trying to go to the store and go get certain things. They put their kids in these daycares and put their children in front of these iPads because they don't have every single moment because of demands from the world. So we want to lift that burden. And that's what this is about. Is Mindful Kids is a purely humanitarian effort where from what is coming through the platform, percentages of that are fueling the development of our children. And this is, again, in the process of them coming together in a social network where they're linking with children from all around the world, which we already have going on now in our own small but special way. And it's growing. And this is, of course, when we have our ambassador training, there's a family night. And the children get together, they go in their breakout room, and they have a ball for hours. We literally have to tell them, hey, it's time. And they draw, and they create, and they do amazing things. They just connect with each other. And so children are always like that. And us even getting further and bringing that into a physical space, that is our growth. But we have to start somewhere. Also, the gamification process is exactly what it is. It's the game that one plays or can play that allows and takes them into a higher stage of their awareness. So it's entertaining as they're going through this process of earning things that they, a protocol that they can actually spend inside of the ecosystem, a protocol that they can actually save. And this terminology is specific, meaning that it's a way of saying that we give to our children, and then in the ecosystem, they're able to not only earn and increase what we gave them, but it also unlocks in points that they would need it. So to have a child needing shoes for their time to going into school, or books, or needing the opportunity to go somewhere, plane flights, all these different things are what the system is able to manage and deploy and account for, right? Because accountability is big here. So this metaphysical edutainment, if you may, is teaching our children the maxims of what we learn, but in a very fun way in which is calibrated specifically for them. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing for the children. That is a promise that we plan to fulfill and that we will fulfill. All of what we said about the sacred mothers and the children will be fulfilled. And again, for the brothers, this is time that we come together. The competitions, the wars, the fighting is juvenile. Let us stand for our children. Let us stand for our mothers, our elders. Let us bring ourselves into alignment and into the realization of the power that we have together. Many will go forth from this conversation today. Like I said, you'll go into the world. You'll have the ears of others. I always feel that we're 1 degree of separation from some of the most powerful and influential people. And sometimes we may take those statements lightly, because when we make certain actions, depending on what those actions do, they make us the most powerful and influential beings. So if anyone that is listening to this conversation, or even they themselves, feel inspired to actually work with creating something like this through contribution, if you have the means and the wherewithal we're going to be actionizing what we call a mindful fund. And this is going to allow us all to participate in bringing about this ecosystem as rapidly as possible so that we're able to share in this beauty continuously. This is us coming together. This is us being mindful about others that have yet to come together or that are experiencing certain levels of heartache and are just looking for that anchor, looking for somebody to move into their life and move into their space. And like I said, you need to see how many people are utilizing these mobile devices. I jump on with guys in India, women in Korea, every single day, thousands of people just waiting for the change, waiting for that moment where someone comes across that platform and says, hey, have you checked this out yet? Have you got involved in this? You can learn everything about yourself here. All you have to do is just fill this out. They take it from there. It's input and output. If you have something to give, man, we have a lot of things we want to do. If you need something, we're here for you. So I just want to say again, thank you so much for taking your time and taking your attention, taking your energy, and putting it into this space for this moment, because it could be anywhere. We share something so special. It's just been, man, it's been such a hike up this mountain. We've had little to do but keep climbing, meaning that we've not had much moments to stop and say, wow, man, look what we've done. We've done something so amazing. We don't have that opportunity yet. We're still saying, yeah, but still our children. Yeah, but it's too many questions piling up here. We need something else that's answering these questions. Yeah, but as long as we're still patronizing their system, we're giving them all of our money, so we can't even fund our own things. Yep, because we don't have a reserve of capital somewhere. We can't have any hedges or margins. Oh, well, because, and it's time out for that. Because pretty much that's going to be the story until we step into that space and step in and be that bridge. So again, this is the Mindful Fund. There is a link actually in the description if you want to know more about what we're doing. As I said earlier, this was something that we were going to present next year, but it really, really said Cosmos, Mother, every single level, ancestors, everything said, no, this has got to go in so that we all go in. Those that are of us that are connected into this space right now, those of us that are synchronized into this cosmos, it's got to go now, so that way when we go in and we cross over into this 2019, which is significant for everyone else because they call that a new year, even though we were stepping in on the 21st. That's when we started. And we will follow up with all of our developments in the massive, let's say the Keynote 2020 on December the 21st to look at our projections and how much further we went because we kept co-creating. So I just want to say wholeness and balance vibrations to everyone. So much honor, so much pleasure, so much joy to everyone that contributed to this, knowing and unknowingly. Thank you. That energy has been felt and it is being used, and it has been used to build great things and to pull us all together. And that is the greatest reward. So I want you to have a great evening. Wholeness.
Nothing in this world works the way you think it does. This is a secret, and it's a very powerful secret.
Where does light come from, Daddy?
As we now go forward in consciousness on our planet, which I feel is going from the third dimension to the fifth dimension,
the real truth.
Free energy technology will spark a spiritual revolution and heal our planet.
Everybody that's on Earth?
This definitely have changed my life.
Once you understand how the world really works.
And even my mother is now starting to become more open, and we've given her some of the supplements, and it's been really good. So it's just been an amazing journey, and I'm glad to be a part of
Activating
everything.
the DNA and to have great enjoyment doing
The
it.
deepest secrets within man, DNA repairment, full body activation.
Teaching us about unlocking our unlimited potential, our life's purpose.
Just know that we're actually here. We're real people.
What's your name? Tell her your name.
My name is and I'm 4 years old.
It's all right, family. Don't be shy. Jump in and say hi.
Yeah. Connection that we shared over the years, and to see the family coming in full circle is just powerful. Like,
How do you turn on the DNA? That's a good question. Very good question.
Everything out here works on energy. They didn't manage to sell everybody power. All of the lights, everything that we're operating and using, it's all running on gas and power. For me to step on this pedal, I gotta go to them. And that is more powerful than anything. That is the power. It's literal.
Oh, that's very nice. I really like it.
Wholeness.
It's so special.
All I wanted. My dreams just be like it's gonna be the future. All I wanted.
So there's a lot of power here, and the opportunity to serve such a space and to really integrate.
Wholeness tribe.
Wholeness and balance, beautiful tribe.
Wholeness, wholeness, love, peace, peace and love.
What's up, fam?
A whole family.
Wholeness.
The monatomics and the ancestors.
Wholeness and balance vibration tribe.
Be the change that you're inspired to see.
Wholeness, family. Wholeness has empowered me to take control over my decisions, over my sovereignty, over my balance.
Wholeness.
Wholeness tribe.
Wholeness secret is within us.
My name is Sevan. I'm the developer. I'm here to welcome you to a platform that's been going for 9 years.
And join us as we unlock our potential together.
I love y'all.
Wholeness family. Still kind of blown away by that experience. It was awesome.
I am allowing all that is and the energy of the multiverse to move through me.
I was like going through some very turbulent times.
There's so much more deep meaning to all of this, and
it's safely at starts the connection.
All of you have been helping us so much.
It was beautiful connecting with you all yesterday.
This tribe.
We can create a world, I believe, today.
All walks of life.
Accessing and embodying the metaphysical knowledge to truly be the masters of our reality.
Into the highest states of consciousness.
Energetically, physically, mentally, and spiritually to help you break through all realities. It's the peak of self-mastery. It's also the epitome of what unity really is.
You don't hear about any of this information at school.
This time technology is actually helping us.
I was able to connect with a real tribe in real time.
You know what? At the end of the day, it all starts with you.
Technology just brought us closer.
Where does the sun come from?
A wonderful way to activate your DNA is to walk barefoot on the earth.
Thank you, man. Right.
It will help you integrate the cosmos and the earth. Barefoot on earth is a wonderful way to activate the DNA.
I always wondered what my future would be like.
The whole world is on the eve of a new consciousness, a new power.
But most important is the quality of life that you live and the quality of the love that you share. The quality of that love is why you come here to Earth.
We'll see you on the other side.
Secretenergy has literally shown me the way back to myself.
Many of you have missions.
Wholeness, sending you so much love.
Purposes.
Wholeness.
But you all come for love.
Wholeness.
And so a new civilization is being born.
What the churches, the religions, may have hidden away. This is the advancement of your DNA.